Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh? Cool.
Yes, you just heard that. You just heard an ultra-leftist Daily Show audience applaud domestic terror. They cheered, they clapped, they acclaimed blatant acts of domestic terror. That is your modern-day Democrat Party. And as a result, the Democrats are in a total and complete meltdown. Let's start with the twin dynamics that are redefining the Democrat Party: tyranny and terrorism. That's the modern-day Democrat Party in a nutshell. Tyranny and terrorism. We talked extensively in our video yesterday on how after 8 straight weeks of Trump absolutely crushing the left politically, Democrats finally figured out how, at the very least, they can possibly slow him down. And that's with these judicial activists, these obvious Democrat operatives disguised as judges. There have been thus far, get this, 129 legal challenges by activist judges against President Trump in his 2 months in office. Those are more injunctions that have been filed against Trump than all previous U.S. presidents combined. We have literally never seen anything like this. This judicial barrage of injunctions is completely unprecedented. So the Democrats are now the party of judicial tyranny. But at the same time, they're increasingly becoming the party of domestic terrorism. Robbie Starbuck has exposed a far-left group called Indivisible. Now, George Soros' foundation, which, keep in mind, you've been paying for via USAID funds. But Soros has been giving your money to Indivisible to the tune of nearly $8 million. And over the next few days, they're planning organized professional protests, yes, paid protests, to show up at Tesla stores throughout the country. And they're calling it, again, I kid you not, they're calling these protests Tesla takedown events. And they're knowingly doing that in the midst of a domestic terror spree targeting Tesla and Tesla owners across the country. There's reportedly even a form that protest leaders can fill out to receive reimbursement payments for their protests. I mean, no wonder Democrats aren't speaking out against this. They help fund it. They're the caretaker. Well, better, they were the caretakers of the very D.C.-based money laundering operation that's funneled millions of dollars into these groups. In fact, here's the Democrats' favorite borderline illiterate, Congressman Jasmine Crockett, openly endorsing the Tesla takedown.
So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with, on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
So Jasmine Crockett, as the smoke from burning Teslas continues to rise, Jasmine Crockett is endorsing a Soros-backed group's efforts at a, quote, Tesla takedown. Oh, in case there was any doubt, yeah. That's Jasmine Crockett standing next to Alex Soros. The modern-day Democrat Party is now officially the party of tyranny and terrorism. And as a result, more Americans are turning away from them than ever before. They have become a parody of repulsiveness. The Democrats are in nothing less than a political freefall. We've got the polls, we've got the stats. This is going to absolutely make your day. But first, as you know, the world is more uncertain than ever. And the way we understand it really does depend on the news we consume on a daily basis, with competing agendas, algorithm-driven echo chambers, and hidden biases shaping our perception. It's crucial to have the right tools to cut through all the noise. That's why I rely on Ground News. It's a website and app that gathers stories from over 50,000 news sources worldwide, letting you compare coverage across the political spectrum and highlighting stories one side might be ignoring. See for yourself at ground.news/Steve. My favorite feature of Ground News is the blind spot feed. It shows you stories that are disproportionately reported by either the left or the right. I find it really helpful for gaining a balanced perspective in our hyper-polarized world. So, for example, here's a recent story that has almost no coverage on the right. Voters flood town halls with fears of Social Security cuts, putting heat on GOP over Musk and Doge. And here's a story that mostly got ignored by left-leaning outlets. Gabbard pledges to aggressively pursue leaks from U.S. intelligence agencies. Now, for both of these and for every story, Ground News gives you a breakdown of the sources covering it, the bias of the media outlets reporting across the left, center, and right, how reliable these sources have been in the past, and who owns them. So this is the kind of news analysis you won't find anywhere else. Right now, my viewers can get 40% off the Unlimited Access Vantage plan. That's the same one I use. Make sure to subscribe using my link at ground.news/Steve. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen when signing up. That's ground.news/Steve. The latest Beacon Shaw poll shows that the Democrats have plummeted to just 30% approval. Republicans actually have a double-digit lead in favorability in that poll. CNN found that the Democrats have dropped to just 29% approval. That's a record low in CNN's polling going back over 30 years, back to 1992. It's a drop of 20 points since January of 2021. And the latest NBC poll has the Democrats down to just 27% approval. Again, the lowest they've ever recorded. Only 7% of registered voters, 7%, have a, quote, very positive view of the Democrat Party. By contrast, the same poll from NBC shows Trump with a 47% approval rating, with 44% believing that the nation is on the right track. That's a near 20-point swing from November of 2024 and the highest number in 20 years. A whopping 61% believes something like Doge is indeed needed to eliminate all the waste, fraud, and abuse in D.C. After posting one of these polls, Elon Musk couldn't help but gloat a little bit here. The Democrat Party is melting down, he wrote on X. And it bears remembering Elon Musk, up until just a couple of years ago, was a Democrat. He admittedly voted for Biden back in 2020. But he, along with millions of others, are abandoning a party that is now defining itself by judicial tyranny and domestic terrorism. Take a look at these stats. If you want a sense of what's really happening here in terms of an electoral reaction to the Democrat meltdown, look at this. In the 2012 election, Obama-Romney, right, 2012, white women with college degrees voted Republican by 5 points. Hispanics voted Democrat by 44 points. In 2024, white college women voted Democrat by 17 points. Hispanics voted Democrat by just 9. It is a massive political realignment happening right before our very eyes. White college women have gone full woke, whereas Latinos have become increasingly repulsed by that wokeness. And to make matters even worse for the Dems, white college women are the fastest shrinking demographic in the nation in terms of percentage of voters, whereas Latinos are the fastest growing demographic. So this is why Republicans are poised to continue to win Arizona and Nevada for the foreseeable future, and eventually New Mexico. Latinos, the fastest growing demographic in the nation, are appalled at the increasingly extremist politics of these white college Karens. And it's even getting a bit too much for former Democrat presidential candidate Dean Phillips.
I really don't recognize my party. I don't recognize its principles. I surely don't see any leadership. I don't want to give full credit to President Trump for breaking the Democratic Party, but it surely is in disarray and, most importantly, completely rudderless. And what I saw my governor and friend, Tim Walz, say today was appalling. I don't want it to mean any individual directly, but I'm just shocked that someone who should know better read the room so poorly. I liked him for a long time. Yeah. And by the way, and just as you said earlier, what you said about cheering the tanking of Tesla stock, not only does that hurt a lot of Minnesotans who have their money in pension funds.
Now, what really appears to be happening here in all this, to help us just kind of make sense, big picture, what's happening is that the modern left is increasingly being reduced to its literal psychopathic core. And I mean that literally. It's psychopathic core. We've talked before about the work of the Brazilian political philosopher Olavo de Carvalho, who spent his entire adult life studying leftists, particularly Brazilian Marxists, as well as the Polish psychologist Andrzej Lobachevsky. He spent his life studying Eastern European leftists. And they both concluded that in the end, the core of left-wing movements, again, that's the key, the core of left-wing movements are almost always dominated by psychopaths, people who are neurologically inclined to malevolently manipulate and deceive and coerce others. And psychopaths appear to be drawn to political movements that allow them to scale that malevolent manipulation en masse. And today, that largely involves left-wing politics. And when psychopaths command a sizable enough audience in the political sphere, it's just like our modern-day Democrat Party, the masses become hysterical. Their manipulative tactics intentionally whip up their constituents into a delirious frenzy. That's the primary dynamic that we're seeing operative here in this turn towards tyranny and terrorism. And again, it bears repeating, this is not all Democrats by any stretch of the imagination. This is the core, right? This is the center. This is what Olavo de Carvalho and Andrzej Lobachevsky concluded, that the core of leftist movements are almost always overrun. They're dominated by psychopaths. And the psychopaths, by definition, whip the masses into a frenzied hysteria. I would argue that this is precisely what's behind TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Or I guess we can call it now Tesla derangement syndrome. The key to understanding TDS is that this is precisely the kind of mass hysteria that is provoked, that is intentionally whipped up by the manipulating deceptions of unhinged psychopaths like Jasmine Crockett and Maxine Waters and Pocahontas Liz and Rick Warren and virtually every panelist on CNN and MSNBC. In other words, the political left appears to be melting down by reason of its own inherent insanity that pervades its political core. And if that's the case, we may indeed be seeing not just the end of the Democrat Party, but the end of modern political leftism itself. By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.